Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Orson Welles and the Lives of Harry Lime, the prequel to the motion picture The Third Man. This episode of the program, entitled Harry Lime Joins the Circus. Wonder if it's Monty Python's Flying Circus. But I don't think so. This is going back to April 25th, 1952.
Presenting Orson Welles as the Third Man. The Lives of Harry Lime. The fabulous stories of the immortal character originally created in the motion picture The Third Man, with zither music by Anton Karas.
The scene is Rome. The time is not so very long ago. 100 bells in the Eternal City have just finished announcing midnight when Sir Evan Lawford, who's just spent a long, hard day with a lot of other diplomats at an important UN meeting and has topped the whole thing off with an interminable official banquet, puts his key in the lock of the door in the Hotel Excelsior and opens it, treating himself at the same moment to a well-earned yawn. He doesn't get to finish the yawn, however, because somebody is waiting for him in the room. Who do you think that is? Me, of course. Who else?
And now, Orson Welles as Harry Lime, the Third Man. In today's story, Harry Lime Joins the Circus.
Just answer me this. I come back to my hotel room and find you in possession. How did you get in?
Now, Sir Evan, you were pretty highly placed in British intelligence during the war. For all I know, you still are. You ought to know something about getting into hotel rooms. Purely routine, isn't it?
I dare say. Well, what are you after?
Well, not the secret papers or the plans for the fort or the crown jewels, Sir Evan, I assure you. No, I'd just like a couple of minutes of your time.
Look here, I'm bone tired, and if you really want an appointment...
I have a photograph here. I'd like you to identify it. It's just a snapshot. Would you mind looking at it?
Not very clear, is it?
No, but I think you can make out the face.
Where was this taken?
I'll come to that. You recognize this man?
It's very difficult to be sure, you know. Sometimes these snaps are awfully deceptive.
Sir Evan, when was the last time you saw Hans Hessle?
Hans Hessle?
That's the name.
I saw him only once. It was in 39. I don't think we exchanged more than a dozen words
Sir
together.
Evan, you have a reputation of knowing more than any man alive about the Nazi hierarchy. At least any man on our side of the fence. I need to tell you who Hessle was. He had a lot of high-sounding titles, but in the last year of the war, he was supposed to be the man closest to Hitler. Isn't that right?
So I've heard.
Now, don't play poker with me, Sir Evan. I'm not trying to sell you anything. Hessle was a kind of secretary of the Treasury, am I right?
No, that was Schacht.
I mean of Hitler's Treasury. Hessle was a super confidential secretary, and the way I hear it, the custodian of the Führer's personal wealth.
You seem to have a lot of information yourself, Mr. Lime.
That's a sort of hobby of mine, information, Sir Evan. Besides, none of this is top secret or anything like that. There's been a lot of talk around about Hitler having a lot of hidden wealth, treasure and gold or something, only it's never been discovered.
The whole thing is probably a legend. There's a tremendous lot of rumors.
Your people took that rumor seriously enough, Sir Evan. I happen to know of several operatives who spent the last 3 years trying to locate that treasure and trying to track down Mr. Hessle.
Hessle was a war criminal. He was wanted by the Allied authorities.
Yes, and he's never been found. He's the only man except Bormann who got away, the only important one.
Oh, he probably didn't get away, you know. He was almost certainly killed in Berlin.
That's the official version, yes, but he left the bunker several days before the end, probably on some secret mission for the Führer. But nobody knows precisely what happened to him after that.
This photograph? I wouldn't call this proof, Mr. Lime. No, I'd want to know first where it was taken and by whom. I'd want to know a lot of things.
That's what I'm here to tell you.
I'm also interested in motives, Mr. Lime. What's yours? Patriotism? Public spirit?
No. Money.
I see. Very well. What's your price?
We were discussing my motive, not my price. My motive is money. My price is very cheap.
Well, what is it?
To tell you what I know, Sir Evan?
To tell me what you know.
I want you to give me your personal word regarding that photograph. That's my price. Do you identify it as a picture of Hans Hessle?
Well, you know, it might be a case of extraordinary resemblance. There have been instances like that.
I want you to tell me the truth, Sir Evan. According to the best of your belief. Is that photograph a likeness of Hans Hessle?
It is.
Thank you very much, Sir Evan. And now I'll tell you what I know about it. It was taken in Coburg. That's a small city in the Austrian Tyrol.
When was it taken?
11 months ago.
11 months ago?
Mm-hmm.
But then Hessle is still...
Good night, Sir Evan.
Where are you going?
I'm going to let you get some sleep, Sir Evan. You told me you were tired.
But you promised to tell me all you know.
That is all I know, Sir Evan. Practically all I know.
But if Hessle is still alive...
Hessle is 200 feet underground, Sir Evan. He's been dead a long time. Good night now. You know, I didn't have anything particular in mind when I took that photograph. It was one of a series I'd been making backstage at the circus just for my own amusement, you understand, with a camera I'd picked up cheap in the black market. No, I didn't get suspicious until sometime later. We were having an argument, and he didn't understand English very well. Hessle, that is, and certainly not American. So when I told him not to get himself into a hassle about it, he thought I said Hessle, you see? It was just as silly as that. I didn't do any detective work. He just calmly spilled the beans all by himself. And that night when we got into Coburg, he slipped away, and of course I followed him, and he led me quite a chase up there in the mountains, but I kept right on his tail, and the whole thing ended up, of all places, in a deserted mine. But it begins with a circus. But the star of the show was Louisa. She was a high-wire artist, also doubled on the trapeze. Not a great act. Nothing to telegraph John Ringling North about, you understand. Nothing for Madison Square Garden, but a good act all the same. I used to enjoy watching it. It was my job to help rig the apparatus, you see, or rather, that was one of my jobs. I also helped put up the big top with 6 or 7 other overworked characters like myself, and also with a good deal of assistance from Juju the elephant. We packed up the show at night and got it rolling on to the next town. Altogether, it was too much like work for my taste. But it was interesting for a while. Well, a circus, you know, is a wonderful place for a gentleman who is, as it is technically known, on the lam. But we weren't talking about me. We were talking about Louisa, weren't we? Louisa, the high-wire artist. 18 she was at the most, half Belgian, I think. The rest of it was German. Her folks had been in show business, too, but mostly the big German cabarets, I gathered. Anyway, they were dead. Her folks, killed by the Nazis. I didn't like to pry into other people's sorrows, but she was a lonely sort of kid, and I'd been nice to her, which was easy. She'd taken to confiding in me. So you haven't any relatives at all?
No, I haven't. I haven't anybody. You see, we always kept very much to ourselves, my mother and Daddy and I, but we were very close. Father almost went crazy when it happened. Do you mind if I tell you about it?
Not if you want to.
I have never told anybody before. Not what really happened. You see, they came first for my mother. They took her away to one of those camps. We never knew which it was or when she died or how. My father tried to go on, you know, working. But it was very hard. They made him a soldier, and he'd lost his leg on the Russian front. So, of course, there wasn't much he could do, but he kept on training me, and somehow we managed. I don't know how, but we did. And then they came for him. They would have taken me, too, but I wasn't there. It just happened I was off somewhere trying to get something to eat. And Harry, you know what they did to my father.
You really want to tell me?
Yes, I want someone to know. Such things should not ever be forgotten. They didn't take him to a camp, Harry. This was in the beginning of 44. Did you ever hear of Hessle's Mobile Liquidation Squad?
No.
Well, it was the invention of that Hessle. He was one of the top Nazis, you know, toward the end. He never allowed himself to be photographed, but we heard about him all the same. He had trucks that went around to all the little towns. The trucks were really portable gas chambers, and they used to load the people into the trucks and kill them that way. It saved a lot of time and money. And you know something, Harry? This was late in the war, and they didn't want to stir up the people, so the trucks were camouflaged, decorated to look like circus wagons. The little children used to gather around outside and look at the pictures of the clowns and lions and tigers and things like that, while all the time inside they were killing people. That was Dr. Hessle's invention.
Well, you shouldn't keep thinking about it. It doesn't do any good.
I think of that man all the time, Harry.
What man?
Hessle. I told you. The man responsible for that wagon. Hessle was his name. I don't know what he called himself now. But he got away, you know, Harry. He escaped from the bunker and was never found. But someday he will be found. Be sure of that. There are many of us all over the world looking for him. And someday one of us is bound to succeed. I only hope it's me.
I don't believe you.
What do you mean?
Oh, I believe your story, all right. It's just this vengeance business that doesn't convince me. Of course you feel bad about it. I don't blame you, but stop trying to act tough, baby. You can't make it. You're just not the type.
You're wrong. Wait till you know me better.
Produced by Harry Alan Towers through his Towers of London organization in London, The Lives of Harry Lime primarily aired in the United States, although some episodes did air on the BBC. April 25th, 1952, The Lives of Harry Lime on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. That's me. I'm Wyatt Cox. This is Classic Radio Theater with me. Now more of The Lives of Harry Lime as Harry Lime Joins the Circus, April 25th, 1952.
Why's our show running so short tonight, Geeko? Is it a long haul to the next town?
Yes, and it's a bad road, you know, all mountains.
Huh? Well, what's the name of the place?
Coburg.
Geeko?
Yes?
You like being a clown?
What do you mean, do I like it? It's my profession.
But you must like it. You wouldn't do it, would you? I mean, how does a man get to be a clown? Is there a clown school? Did you graduate from it with a degree?
I have a degree, Harry, but not as a clown. As a lawyer. But that is much the same thing, is it not? A lawyer and the clown. Particularly nowadays when they are making here in Germany a mockery of justice.
Okay, old man, okay. Don't get yourself worked up about it. I just wanted to know.
I'm not worked up about it, Harry. I'm always the control, the perfect control. Yes, I paint on my face the big smile and nobody knows what I feel.
Know the trouble with you, Geeko?
No, I do not know the trouble with me. What is the trouble with me?
You're corny.
Corny?
Corny and square.
I do not understand you.
You wouldn't. Listen, that routine about the clown with the painted smile and the broken heart is so tired it squeaks.
Explain, please. What is your meaning?
This Pagliacci routine, I don't buy it.
Buy? Who is offering anything for sale?
I mean, I don't believe it. Now, don't get in a hassle over it.
You!
Hey, get your hands off my throat.
You do not believe. You do not believe. What is there not to believe? I'm a clown, I tell you. That is all I am. A clown. What proof have you that I am anything else?
Well, I
ask you what proof.
Sorry, old man. I loathe hitting people, but there wasn't any alternative. You can't start choking a fellow to death and expect him to answer your questions at the same time. You wanted to know what proof I had. Well, I didn't have any. I didn't even have a suspicion. You got the whole conversation scrambled up in that thick skull of yours. You don't have the remotest idea what I was talking about, do you, Geeko?
No, I didn't.
Well, stop cringing like that. It isn't pretty. You can get up. Come on. I'm not going to hit you again. Geeko plunked that square, heavy body of his on a camp chair and started squinting at himself in the cracked mirror, which was always kept for last-minute repairs near the entranceway. He had an ugly-looking kisser at best. I hadn't improved it any with that punch, and I didn't blame him a bit for not looking very happy with what he saw in the glass. He got out his sticks of paint and began making repairs. I stood watching him.
I cannot see why you have suspicions about me. I have nothing to hide.
You seem to have one particular thing in mind. What is it, old man?
It is not me. It is you who have said...
You don't dig me at all, do you?
Dig? What do you know about digging? There are many mines in these mountains. Many in Coburg.
Go on, old man.
What is there to go on about?
I don't know, chum. You find your own cues. I don't give them to you. What about the mines?
I know you are a secret agent, but why torture me? Who is it you work for? The pig dog Americans? The British?
No, old man, I don't work for anybody. I work for me.
Then where have you this information?
You poor, dumb cluck. I haven't any information, but you're giving it to me just as fast as you can. If I knew a little more, maybe we could make a deal.
You know enough already. If you are not a secret agent, I will kill you. I think I will kill you anyway. Because if they know about me, I have nothing to lose. And if they do not know about me, it will be better to make you silent.
You have a wonderful brain, Geeko. Listen.
Listen to what?
Those big wooden wheels clanking around inside your skull. Those are your thoughts, Geeko, old man. Clankety, 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 clank. There goes your other eye, Geeko.
Geeko, you are now. Where's Geeko?
Geeko is resting, Herr Kranz. He'll be with you in a minute.
Oh, there he is. What's happened? Is he drunk?
No, he just got overexcited.
Come on.
I come. I go.
One other thing.
Yes?
I'll be watching your act, Geeko. Make it funny. After the circus was packed up and just getting underway, I saw him sneaking off into the shadows. Curiosity is my middle name, so I followed. Harry Lime being the rest of my name, I was very careful that Geeko didn't see me. He led me quite a chase, through the suburbs and then out into the open country, till pretty soon we were into the pine forest, climbing up, way up. It's cold in those mountains after midnight. After a couple of hours climbing, we reached the snow belt. I was beginning to feel very sorry, A, that I'd started out on this expedition at all, and B, that I wasn't wearing my winter underwear. After all, why was I following him anyway? And how was I going to find my way down? If I lost him, I'd lose myself. I was just starting to get really panicky about this when I did. I lost him. A minute before, he'd been up there 200 yards ahead. A dim figure in the forest, bobbing in and out among the trees, but still visible. But now he was gone. No, he hadn't fallen into a crevasse. He hadn't fallen at all. He'd let himself into that deserted mine. I finally found the mouth of it. Peering down, I could just make out a flicker of a flashlight. It was lonely out there in the forest, so feeling a little bit like a fool and a little bit like Alice in Wonderland going into the rabbit hole, I climbed down after him. Well, it isn't easy to sneak up to a man in a mine. You get just so far, and then you stumble on a rock. At least that's what happened to me.
Who's there? Who's that? There's somebody here. I know it.
No, boss, there ain't nobody here but us chickens.
So it's you. You followed me. That was foolish, and you shall pay for being foolish. I've a gun in my hand, and I do not think there'll be anybody to hear me fire it except you.
Well, if there's nobody to hear, I guess we can have a little rough-up. I tried a flying tackle, and it worked. Geeko crashed down like a ton of bricks. And the next thing he knew, I had his gun.
No! You will not shoot! No!
It was almost pitch black in there. I couldn't see what he was up to, but I could hear him running up toward the mouth of the tunnel. I started after him.
I'm pulling down a support! No use to shoot, I'm closing you in!
He'd worked loose one of the old wooden supports, starting a miniature landslide.
You may have my gun now, but what use is it? You are alone! I have trapped you! Now I will go away, and a few months from now, when you are only a skeleton, I will return. It's just as well that the tunnel has caved in. It will only make this place harder to find. But wait. Vent! My side of it is blocked too.
You mean you've trapped yourself too, old man?
The support.
The supports?
They were more rotten than I thought.
Tough luck, old man.
The whole front of the roofing has collapsed.
Looks like you've outsmarted yourself, doesn't it?
Very soon, there'll be no more air.
Yeah.
No more air.
Yes, and it won't be very pleasant. I'll tell you frankly, old man, I can think of 100 million other people I'd rather be trapped in a mine with.
Shut up!
Why should I? You're stuck in your part of the tunnel, so you can't make me. Besides, there's nothing like a little conversation to keep up the morale. Or would you rather sing a hymn? I know, let's play a game. Questions and answers. That ought to keep us busy till the oxygen gives out. First question, you are Hessle, aren't you? I say you are Hessle.
What is it to you?
What have you hidden here in the mine? Gold?
Paintings, antique silver, tapestries, the most beautiful things in Europe.
I see art treasures.
This is a museum, and now the world will never see it.
April 25th, 1952, The Lives of Harry Lime on Classic Radio Theater. Classic Radio Theater family, you know our friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop by just creating the best pillow. He created the best bed sheets ever. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me because, you know, I'm working like 67 hours a day. Now, Mike's offering the best deal on his Giza Dreams bed sheets ever. You can get a set of Giza sheets for as low as $29.98. You'll never want to sleep on anything else once you slept on a set of Giza Dream sheets. A special offer for you right now. You can get a set of Giza sheets for as low as $29.98. Call 1-800-928-4715. Use the promo code Wyatt. Or go to mypillow.com, use the promo code Wyatt. It's good on anything on the website. That number again, 1-800-928-4715. Use my promo code Wyatt. I'm Wyatt Cox. Now the conclusion of The Lives of Harry Lime, April 25th, 1952, here on Classic Radio Theater with me, Wyatt Cox.
I know. You kiddies are all jumping up and down in your little cribs by now, demanding to hear whether or not your Uncle Harry smothered to death down in that bad old mine. Well, he didn't. Now, it seems a young couple from New Jersey, God bless them, who were up in those mountains for their honeymoon, happened to stop in the mouth of the tunnel to fix their skis or something. This was the next afternoon, and Herr Hessle, alias Gico, had gone completely off his rocker. He wouldn't stop talking to himself, or rather yelling. You see, if Hessle hadn't babbled, the young couple from New Jersey wouldn't have heard anything, wouldn't have known we were trapped in the mine, wouldn't have gone for help, and I wouldn't be here now to tell the tale. As it was, the rescue party was a long time getting down to us. They got me out first. Not by choice, but because my shaft, my part of it, was easier to clear.
Louisa, is that really you?
Yes, Harry. Just finished the drink.
What happened, Louisa? What are you doing here?
Nothing really, just trying to help.
Nothing? Nothing, she says? Ach, what modesty has the young Fräulein. You wouldn't be here now, my friend, if it weren't for this lady.
How do you mean?
It doesn't matter, Harry. Finish your drink.
You see, we could only manage to open a very small part of the tunnel with our pickaxes and drills. The only way to get you out in time was to dynamite the second shaft. Well, we couldn't just throw in the dynamite. You would have been killed. It had to be done with care. The charge had to be laid in just the right place. And the only person small enough and also smart enough and athletic enough to do the job was this young Fräulein from the circus. Now, just a minute. I'll go get you some more schnapps.
That means you saved my life, Louisa. And Louisa, why are you crying? Oh, please don't, honey. Here, take my handkerchief.
Oh, Harry, don't you understand? Gico was Hessle.
Sure, I understand. I'm the one that found out.
But I'd sworn to kill him, Harry, and now I'm going to save his life.
Well, that does seem a waste of your good time, Louisa. Besides, how did you find out?
You had told me when I was down there laying the charge. And now what I've done is save the life of the man I'd dedicated my whole life to killing.
Well, maybe it's just as well, honey. After all, vengeance is a pretty messy sort of racket. Does it say in the Bible?
Listen to me up there! Listen!
Hey, that's Geeko. He's yelling something up the shaft.
The dynamite!
The dynamite? What's...
Dynamite opened another wing!
He says the dynamite opened the other wing. What does that mean? Does it mean he can get out on his own?
The other wing was my gun! I have my gun now! You understand?
He says he's got back his gun.
I have it back! You will not take me out of here alive! Heil Hitler!
He's killed himself.
Oh, I remember now.
What do you remember, Harry?
Well, what it says in the Bible about vengeance.
Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord.
Yeah, that's right, honey. Come on, let's get down to town. Have some dinner.
And now, Harry Lime.
Now that I have Sir Evan Lawford's word for it that Hessle really was Hessle, I'm getting together a little expedition in Bavaria to dig up all that buried treasure. Nothing official, mind you. No reason to let the authorities into a good thing like that. The trouble is, I need money, quite a lot of it. I never seem to be able to get it all together at one time. That's the worst of my line of business, as I always say. Crime doesn't pay. So long now.
April 25th, 1952, The Lives of Harry Lime on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank you for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Part 3 now of the 5-part yours truly Johnny Dollar story, The Lonely Hearts Matter. This episode originally broadcast April 25th, 1956.
From Hollywood, it's time now for...
Johnny Dollar.
Ready with your call to Hartford, Mr. Dollar. Go ahead, please.
Johnny, what's up? Plenty, Dave. The Wells girl was right. Her father was murdered. We just got the autopsy report. He died from a dose of ground glass.
Then I'll put a stop order on the insurance claim. It was filed this afternoon.
And something else, Dave. A man died in St. Louis about 2.5 years ago. I wonder if you'd have Mutual Records Service check and see if he was insured. His name was Walter Maberly Burke.
Burke? Well, Johnny,
Yeah, I know. Jonathan Wells' widow was previously married to Burke. They were married at the time of his death. And he also died suddenly and mysteriously.
Holy smoke. Just call her Murdering Mabel.
Oh, you haven't met her, Dave. She's just a sweet old lady who's had a little bad luck now and then. And she regards death as the doorway to a greater and more glorious life.
Oh? Well, that sounds very noble.
It would, if she didn't keep slamming the door.
Tonight, and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. From Special Investigator Johnny Dollar, location Chicago, to the Home Office, Northwestern Surety Company, Hartford, Connecticut. Assignment, The Lonely Hearts Matter. Expense account continued. Item 8, $7.65. Dinner for Norma Wells and myself. It was brought up by room service, and we ate alone in my suite. Norma didn't feel like facing the dining room. I was still trying to figure her out. When she'd come to me with a claim that her father had been poisoned by her stepmother for his insurance, I'd tagged her for a jealous, hysterical kid, and that still went. But now, with the autopsy report in, it was more than that. She was right. Jonathan Wells had been poisoned. And again, when she told me someone was hanging around her apartment, I only half believed her. But by now, I was about ready to believe anything.
I'd have sworn I couldn't eat a bite.
Well, you needed it. You've been going on nothing but nerve.
And I'll still be. Until this is all over.
Well, it shouldn't take long now. That autopsy report gives us the green light. The police will move in now, and we can put the pressure on.
It's such a terrible thing. Why, 6 months ago, when she married him, she was planning this right then.
It looks that way, all right.
Father was always so good to her. Yes, and to that worthless nephew of hers, Burton Creeley. What kind of a mind does a person have, Mr. Dollar, to do a thing like she did?
Well, it hasn't been proved yet that she's the one who did it, Miss Wells.
No, but who else could have?
I don't know. More coffee?
No, thanks.
Well, whenever you're finished, we'll take a taxi over to your apartment and pick up whatever you need and then get you a room here at the hotel. I don't think you're in danger, but I imagine you'll feel a lot less nervous here.
Oh, I will. And I do appreciate your help and kindness, Mr. Dollar.
Forget it. It's part of my job. Only this time, when you check in, you go to your room and stay put.
What do you mean?
When I came back from talking to Mabel Burke, Max Lancer from the DA's office was waiting for me down in the lobby. He said he'd phoned here to the room 5 or 6 times, got no answer.
I was here. I heard the phone, but, well, I didn't know if you wanted me to answer.
He sent a bellboy up to knock on the door.
Well, I must have been in the shower. I was here all the time. Don't you believe me?
Any reason I shouldn't believe you? Are you through eating?
Yes.
Okay, let's go. Expense account item 9, $1.80. Taxi from the hotel to Norma Wells' apartment. Night had fallen over the city, and the tall buildings of the Loop shimmered above the noisy blaze of lights. Laughing groups of early dinner-goers jostled through the scrambling packs of late shoppers. Auto horns, blaring jazz, newsboys, traffic whistles. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Yesterday never was, tomorrow's only a dream, and today's nearly gone. So hurry it up and let's get going. We'll sleep when we're dead. Like Jonathan Wells on his cool marble slab in the city morgue.
It's apartment C, the next door on the left.
Right.
Have a key here somewhere.
Sure you locked it?
Oh, yes, I always... It's not locked.
Well, you were scared when you left and maybe you
No. I remember locking the door.
You sure?
Yes. Now it's...
Stay back.
What is it, Mr. Dollar?
Come on in.
Oh, no.
It looks as though you've had visitors, Miss Wells.
The whole place turned upside down. Why would anyone want to do that?
Looking for something, probably.
For what?
I don't know. Suppose you look around, see if you notice anything missing.
It's no use, Mr. Dollar. I've gone through the whole place twice now, and I'm certain that nothing's been taken.
But they had to have some reason to break in here, go through everything this way.
I suppose so, but... Well, I'm positive there's nothing missing.
All right. If there isn't, there isn't. Well, do you suppose that coffee's ready now?
Oh, I think so. Come on in the kitchen. I guess you'll believe me now. Somebody was hanging around here earlier today.
Just wish I could figure what they're after.
Looks plenty strong. There's sugar there on the table. I'll get some cream from the refrigerator.
Don't bother on my account. I drink it black.
Well, not me. I use plenty of both. Lots and lots of cream and 2 heaping spoons of sugar.
They must have had a reason to break in here. If it wasn't to steal something, then what was the reason?
The sugar looks funny.
Doesn't make sense at all.
Guess I ought to keep it covered. The sugar. I was saying it looked funny. Well...
Wait a minute. Maybe they broke in to leave something.
Leave something?
Yeah. Here. Give me that cup. And the spoon.
What are you doing?
Look.
Oh, that's funny. It didn't even dissolve.
The sugar dissolved, all right.
Well, then what's that in the spoon?
Ground glass. I phoned Max Lancer and had him send over a policewoman to accompany Norma Wells back to the hotel, get her checked in, and stay with her overnight. Then I called the Wells residence. The old lady answered the phone herself, and I asked for her nephew, Burton Creeley. She said he wasn't in. So on an off chance, I took a taxi to the office of the Rendezvous Club, Lonely Hearts Unlimited. There was no light showing behind the transom over the door. The door was unlocked. I fumbled around for a light switch, but somebody beat me to it.
Get your hands up!
Well, at least I found you in this time.
What are you doing here? Who are you?
Put that gun away, Creeley. Or if you're going to use it, you'd better take the safety off first.
Safety? What are you doing?
All right, let go of it, Crayley. Thanks.
You think you'll get away with this, mister? You're crazy.
My mistake. The safety was off. Sorry to rough you up, but I don't like people who go around pointing guns at people without any reason for it.
You broke in here. That's illegal entry. I'll have you arrested.
Why not? Why not? The phone's right behind you.
Who are you, anyway?
Johnny Dollar. I'm a special investigator for the Northwestern Surety Company.
What?
I imagine the name is familiar to you, since they're holding a $50,000 life insurance policy on the late Jonathan Wells, with your Aunt Mabel named as beneficiary.
What are you doing here?
Looking for you, as a matter of fact.
What for?
I wanted to ask you why you sneaked out through the door there the other day in the office when I was here earlier.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, knock it off, Creeley. You got in such a hurry, you left your cigar burning there in the ashtray, the same brand you're smoking right now.
Well, I thought you were a bill collector.
You knew who I was. You were listening there at the door while I talked to your secretary. Now, why'd you run out?
Oh, all right. I did know who you were, Mr. Dollar, but, well, you're misinterpreting things.
No kidding. In what way?
I was late for an appointment. I didn't want to get tied up. I figured you could find out anything you wanted to know from my aunt. I saw no necessity for talking to you.
I see. Where have you been since then?
Right here, most of the time.
And the rest of the time?
Well, what difference does it make?
You weren't over at Norma Wells' apartment by any chance?
Are you kidding? I detest that girl.
Why so?
Because she's a smug, self-satisfied little phony. She's too big for her britches. Now, what makes you think I'd be hanging around her?
Somebody was.
I don't get it.
Somebody broke into her apartment this afternoon or this evening and turned it upside down.
Well, she hasn't got anything I want.
They didn't take anything. They broke in to leave something. I found some ground glass planted in her sugar bowl.
Ground glass?
Sound familiar?
What are you getting at?
You mean you haven't heard about the coroner's report on Jonathan Wells?
No, why? What has that got to do with...
Mr. Wells died from a dose of ground glass.
Good Lord. You mean he was killed, murdered?
I don't imagine he ate the stuff intentionally, do you?
I can't believe it.
Well, the police aren't having that trouble.
I just can't imagine anybody. He was such a nice guy. He always got along fine with everybody.
Including you?
Yes. We got to be good friends.
What about his daughter, Norma?
I don't really know. She blew a top and moved out a month after Aunt Mabel and Jonathan were married.
Why?
Oh, jealous, I guess. She couldn't stand it to see her father pay any attention to anybody but her.
Did they quarrel much?
Oh, Jonathan never quarreled with anybody. No, she just seemed to go around with a mad on most of the time. She's a rare one, that girl.
What do you mean?
Oh, she seems to think of herself as a princess or something.
I understand you made quite a play for her at first.
I suppose she told you that.
Did you?
I tried to be friendly to her, that's all. I don't know what she chose to call it. Mr. Dollar, I'm engaged to Miss Tetler, the girl that works here in the office.
Mm-hmm. What do you do for a living, Mr. Creeley?
I take care of this correspondence club for Aunt Mabel. I've got sort of a heart condition. I can't work too hard.
I see. You know, it might be a good idea if you checked in with the police. They'll probably want to talk to you.
Well, who do they think did it?
Well, they haven't arrested anybody yet, but there are a lot of straws pointing in one direction.
What direction?
Toward your Aunt Mabel, I'm afraid.
But that's ridiculous. Now, she may be a little vague, not quite all with it, maybe, but she wouldn't do a thing like that. They're out to frame her, that's what they're doing.
Who else had a motive, Mr. Creeley?
But what about his daughter? She stands to gain by all this. She inherits the estate. Maybe she faked that burglary, planted the ground glass in her apartment herself. Have you thought of that, Mr. Dollar?
Yeah. Yeah, I've thought of it.
Now, here's our star to tell you about tomorrow's intriguing episode of this week's story.
Tomorrow, another murder comes to light, another link in a long chain, and an old lady weeps for the wasted years. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. Written by Les Crutchfield, it is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone. Be sure to join us tomorrow night, same time and station, for the next exciting episode of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Roy Rowan speaking.
From April 25th, 1956, yours truly, Johnny Dollar on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. This is going to be an interesting tale. We'll see how this one wraps up. We want to thank our friend Ted at RadioMemories.com for supplying us with this week's shows. You can get shows from Ted on cassette, CD, or flash drive for your computer just by contacting him at RadioMemories.com. Very reasonably priced shows and the best quality available. RadioMemories.com. By the way, Robert down in White Springs, Florida, sent us a note wanting to know the name of this theme song and how it was available. And quite frankly, it's not commercially available. It was from a production music library, and as such, it's not available to the general public. Sorry, Robert, but you know, those things happen, especially in the later days. In the 50s, the late 50s, they used production libraries and canned music instead of regular orchestras. What we use is our webpage, classicradio.stream, so you can stream our shows, learn about building a classic radio collection of your own. You can contact me, find our social media links. You can also see a list of podcast sites where you can download our shows, and of course, you can buy me a copy to help us acquire additional classic radio collections and keep our distribution channels up and running. That's at classicradio.stream. Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox here on your favorite radio station.